Connect with your friends and know that you are not alone. Visit wearebroadcasters.com/hope, furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station. I am so excited. Dr. Brian is in the house, and we're going to bring him in right now. Hello, Dr. Brian. How are you?
Good. How are you, Dr. Tranquility?
I'm doing really well. I'm so excited to see you, and I'm excited for this final chapter
We made it to the home stretch here.
We did, of love, for love, love language for love bites.
Yes.
So I'm
Hello,
gonna,
everybody.
yeah, I'm gonna get off the screen and then I'll be back when you're done.
Okay, thank you. Well, hello, everybody. Again, I'm Dr. Brian Rubczynski, and we, over the last 5 segments, I believe, have been talking about the love languages concept from Dr. Gary Chapman, who wrote the book, The 5 Love Languages. Each week, we kind of did a deep dive into each of the 5 different love languages. We talked about words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and acts of service. And today we are wrapping it up with the final one, which is physical touch. So physical touch is basically, and just to reiterate again, love languages are the way that we like to have our needs met in relationships. And oftentimes couples have different ones. With physical touch, people who have this particular love language really feel the most loved when their partner is affectionate with them, both sexually and non-sexually as well. So these would include things like holding hands, hugs, kissing, cuddling, massages, anything tactile. And a person who has a physical touch love language kind of looks at things through the lens of, when, if, and the way that you touch me is a barometer for how I think that you feel about me. And there's a really beautiful quote that Dr. Chapman writes about that really, I think, defines the whole physical touch love language, which is, whatever there is of me resides in my body. To touch my body is to touch me. To withdraw from my body is to distance yourself from me emotionally. And I think that's a really powerful quote because particularly with people with this particular love language, when your partner touches you, they feel so valued and loved. And when there's not a whole lot of touch going on, it can really be quite wounding for the person. So it just, with this particular love language in particular, touch and tactile is such a very important part of the relationship to be very mindful of. Now, it's important to communicate in advance with your partner what kind of touch is appropriate or not appropriate, because each couple is going to have their own different version of what's okay and what's not okay. So it's really important to speak about boundaries up front. Another reason why it's important to talk in advance about what's appropriate or not appropriate is that in keeping with consent and willingness, we really want to make sure that this experience is safe and it's loving. And for some people, touch has a little bit of trauma attached to it if they have trauma in their histories. So we want to make sure that we don't do anything that's going to trigger any sort of trauma response for the person. So communication is really important in the very beginning to set the foundation for that. The beauty of physical touch for both partners actually is that through touch, we feel a loving, bonding connection. We find that physical touch is great as a stress management strategy. It reduces anxiety and it really promotes relaxation. So if you and your partner can find ways to kind of create new ways of and places to touch, that can really add some excitement to the relationship. One kind of an exercise that I recommend to kind of help learn a little bit about touch with couples is something called body mapping. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do body mapping, but one way that I suggest that's helpful is each of you will take turns, and you'll take turns by basically touching your partner head to toe, front and back. But before you start the exercise, you want to make sure you're very clear on the boundaries in terms of where it's okay to touch and where it's not okay to touch. Because again, we don't want to trigger anything. And basically you want to just touch your partner from head to toe, clothes on or off. Off is usually better because you have more skin to skin, but with clothes on is okay too if you're more comfortable with that. And basically you just want to practice different strokes, different pressures, different textures, just to find out really what feels good, what doesn't. And as your partner is going through that, what can be helpful is if the partner who's receiving the touch could, on a scale from 1 to 10, kind of say as the partner is working on that particular part, you know, how good it feels. So 10 is a fantastic feel. 1 to 2, not so good, move on to another spot. And it's important too that if a partner's touching, there's an area that you feel a little bit of a trigger, each of you should come up with some sort of a neutral, safe word to just stop and keep moving along. And then you do that for both sides, and it can be a really helpful way to, again, create connection, and it can also help partners find out, you know, where your erogenous zones are. So then in the future, you know just the best ways to touch each other. So that would be my suggestion. And I think that, you know, we have spent the last 5 weeks together doing this deep dive with the love languages. It's important for each partner to know what their partner's love language is, and that you meet your partner's love language in terms of what theirs is and not yours. And the best thing to do is that they have the test online that you can take for free if you don't know what your love language is. Or you can also go to the 5 Love Languages book to take the test on your own too. And get on out there and just love up on each other.
Love up on each other. I love it. So, Dr. Brian, I'm so honored and blessed, and I'm so excited that we're going to start a new topic. I love that you've been doing love languages, but I'm really looking forward to what you're going to come up with next.
Thank you.
And I just got a very interesting text. This is the two sides of me as Dr. Tranquility and also as a PR person. And I will.
Oh, well, fantastic.
On Clubhouse.
I'm honored. Thank you.
So I will let you know all the details.
Super. I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just so honored and blessed that you have time to be with us. And can you tell everyone where they can find you, please, sir?
Sure thing. They can reach me at brian@personalvictorycounseling.com.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we look forward to speaking with all of you. And you can always write in to me, DrTranquility at Gmail. You can also write in to Dr. Brian, excuse me, a little too familiar there. And he's happy to, I'm sure, answer any of your questions. And it's exciting and fun, and it's all good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me, and see you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
So that's Dr. Brian, and it's always exciting to have him on. Coming up, I thought we had Taz from LFTV, but I don't think we do tonight. So we were going to do a live promo for you, but she doesn't seem to be there. So we're going to go ahead and close out the show tonight. It's been amazing having all of you on. And again, you can reach out to Dr. Brian and contact him, and he will be happy to answer your questions. He's coming up with starting with a whole new topic. It's going to be really fascinating. He's such an amazing doctor, and we're honored to have him here at Dr.Tranquility Talks Conscious Dating and Relationships. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and visit Satori XPR to find out the show station, the network in your local city, as it airs Fridays at 12 Eastern Standard Time and nationally. So feel free to look for it then. And we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us in the studio. Literally, that's what this YouTube video is. It's the in the studio version. So we're so honored and blessed that you could join us. Take care.